Well, I wanted to start out not with a story, but about what's going on here. So, we start out with John the Baptist. Now, I think that's a pretty good John the Baptist picture. I remember I went to a church where there was a picture of John the Baptist, and he looked, I don't know, kind of like an ancient hippie, kind of relaxed. John was not a relaxed guy. He was kind of a crazy guy out in the wilderness who was screaming at people to repent. You know, you picture that guy who's on the corner with the sandwich board at the end of his knife. That was John the Baptist. That was kind of his style. And he had a group of disciples who gathered around him. But he said pretty clearly, you know, I'm not the one you're ultimately looking for. I'm preparing the way for the one, but I'm not the one. Well, Jesus, one of the things that doesn't say this in the Bible, but the Bible makes so much of a point of a connection between Jesus and John that most people would agree, you know, most Bible scholar type people, that Jesus was probably one of John's students, one of his disciples. And they probably spent some time out there in the wilderness with John learning and starting to open up his own ideas about what God was calling him to do. And then at some point he went off, well, it says John baptized him, and then Jesus began his own ministry. It doesn't say how John felt about this, but it seems like there are signs that there was a little tension between maybe not Jesus and John personally, but between some of John's followers and some of Jesus' followers. Even after the resurrection and when Jesus' followers are talking, they still talk about John's followers going around doing their own thing. But in this passage, John sends some of his disciples out to go to see what Jesus is up to. Because it's possible, John is thinking, that Jesus might be the one. So, John's disciples sends his disciples out to ask, to find out, is Jesus the one? Now, I want you to think about this a little bit. That's a pretty simple thing, right? These two guys get a mission. We don't know that they were guys, actually. We kind of assume that, but there's nothing that says they were men. So these two people get sent out to go off on a mission, to go find out if Jesus is the one. And they do a very, very strange thing. They ask him, are you the one? Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. They ask him, are you the one? If you want to find something out about someone, do you find it out by asking them? If you want to know if somebody's good at something, how many people have ever had to do a job interview? Have ever led a job interview, interviewed someone for a job? Okay. When you do that, if they say, yeah, I'm the best person ever, is that enough? You say, oh, you said you're the one. I'm going to hire you. No, you have to get some information about them. You think of scouting. You know, these two guys are kind of like scouts. When you think about in athletics and sports, scouts go out to check out the players. Do they go out to check out the players and ask them if they're good? You know, can you hit a home run? Can you make the tackle? You know, are you going to be the best player we've ever seen? Yeah, I'm going to be the best player you've ever seen. I'm the one you're looking for. No. You have to actually see what they do. And if they do what they're supposed to do, then you know maybe they're the one. It's pretty straightforward. If you want to know if somebody's the one, you see what they do. You don't just listen to the line. They have to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. But somehow John's disciples seem to have missed this. And so they just go up to Jesus and say, hey, are you the one? Now, Jesus is Jesus, so he kind of calls them on it. He doesn't make fun of them or anything. But he sure does point them in the right direction. He doesn't say, yeah, I'm the one. He says, go back to John and tell him what you have seen. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. And then he has this nice line at the end, blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me. Now, in the first place, it means you can give the disciples, the scouts, a little more credit. Because they did see all of the deeds that Jesus was doing. And so they were trying to kind of figure out, does this mean that he's the one after he's doing all this stuff? And Jesus' response is, just tell John what I did. But that last line, blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me, what that means is, when people reach the conclusion that's obvious from seeing all the stuff I'm doing, we hope they are blessed if they're willing to accept the truth. So Jesus is basically saying, you look at what I'm doing, I don't even need to say that I'm the one. It's just obvious. But can you handle it? Can you handle accepting that Jesus is the one? Now for John, it wasn't so much of a problem. John knew that he was only there to lead people forward. For some of John's disciples, it might have been a little bit harder for them to acknowledge that their guy, everybody has their guy. It might have been harder for them to admit that their guy was only number 2, that they had another place to go. But Jesus did all these amazing, powerful things. He healed people. He raised people from the dead. He brought good news to the poor. He made deaf people hear, blind people see. That was the sign that he was the one. But what does this have to do with what's going on today? Well, the thing is, Jesus is still the one. And there are still people every day who are asking, is Jesus the one? People all around us know they're missing something. I mean, I talk to people literally every day who know that there is something they need. People who know that their lives are not complete. People who know there's a space in there. There's something they need. People try to fill it with all sorts of different things, with success or popularity or drugs or alcohol or sex or any number of things. Work, family, and yet it's still there. They need something. They need someone. And they're asking, a fair number of them, is Jesus the one?